Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Cody the Coin Raptor, and today I want to go ahead and talk about Bitcoin and crypto chart TA, including a major earnings event that happened today that actually pushed the Bitcoin price up to a new yearly high. But before we get to that, be sure to subscribe and also like the video if you guys like the video. Definitely appreciate if you guys want to go ahead and leave a comment, and be sure to follow me on Twitter for the most up-to-date information. So first off, we've had Tesla earnings today, and I've gone through their entirety of their earnings, and I've looked for their digital assets on file because they actually do own quite a bit of Bitcoin. And I remember last year, back in their Q2 update, they actually said they sold a significant share of Bitcoin, which caused the Bitcoin price to plummet at the time. Now, Tesla didn't do that this time. I've circled the amount of digital assets they have on the balance sheet, and so far it looks as though they have not sold any Bitcoin. Now, the reason why the amounts have gone down is purely because of the price of Bitcoin going down on the 31st of December. So, as far as I know, they have not sold any, and in fact, on the conference call, Elon Musk even talked about potentially buying some more Bitcoin in the future. That would be very bullish. But we're going to get right to the chart TA. So that event that we had today with the Tesla earnings, you can actually see as part of the volume, we have this massive volume here, massive. 490 here, and then about 650 here, and then another 235 here. So this huge spike of volume pushed the prices even higher, and actually it went all the way up here to almost 23,800, and that would be a new yearly high for Bitcoin. So there has been a surprisingly very positive reaction, both to a good earnings from Tesla and the knowledge that they didn't actually sell any of their Bitcoin. So if we go and we zoom out and we take a look at the daily instead of the hourly, I want to go ahead and draw your attention to the RSI. So I've been talking a lot about the daily RSI here at the bottom, but it is really important to point out the fact that the daily RSI still continues to be incredibly high and still is using this 78 level for support. And with RSI is a good example of the strength of buying, right? The whole sort of rule of thumb for RSI is above 70, it's overbought, and then below 30, it is oversold. And right now, what we're seeing with RSI is that it is starting to come down very, very slowly. However, it has not broken this resistance level yet at about 78. It remains to be seen when that will happen, but I am still confident that we're going to wind up seeing a pullback in the Bitcoin price. What we have seen in the meantime between now and the previous videos that I've done is we've seen a little bit more buying volume come in and push the price up a little bit. Now, Bitcoin had kind of a wild day today. It went down fairly significantly and then recovered with the NASDAQ and then shot up with the news of Tesla's earnings and their earnings report. So that was the major event for the week. I think that's going to really drive the Bitcoin price. Now, it remains to be seen if we're going to wind up seeing Bitcoin go down with the NASDAQ or follow the NASDAQ for the rest of the week. But I am still anticipating that we're going to get a pullback in Bitcoin, either if not this week, then next week for sure. And there are some very important events going on next week that will inject a lot of volatility into the Bitcoin price. But as always, I also like to point out the fact that the volume is still continuing to decrease. So the volume has not really picked up at all, and so far it looks like this resistance block that I have outlined here is actually holding up fairly well. This is between almost 23,000 and about 25,000. It's holding up fairly well. There's a lot of bag holders up here for Bitcoin right now, because last time Bitcoin tried to go up to this area, the bag holders stepped in and they sold off hard. But that was back in July and August. The sentiment could have shifted since then. However, I do expect that it's going to stay hard resistance until Bitcoin can break out of this resistance band here at about 25,000. If we take a look at the funding rate, we can see that there was about an hour or so that had a pretty huge spike in the funding rate, and that also correlated with a huge increase in the price as well. And so we're seeing right now that the bulls are still very dominant, and in fact, they have actually started to increase a little bit in the past couple of days. So I'll be monitoring the situation and seeing where that winds up. So to kind of illustrate my point about this huge amount of buying here, I also have up the Bitcoin and crypto fear and greed index, one of my favorite indicators right here. And this right now is set to about 73. So we're in firmly greed territory, and we're almost in extreme greed right now when it comes to Bitcoin. And as a rule of thumb, I always try to avoid buying during either the greed or the extreme greed bands. And if we look at a chart of all of the fear and greed index, what we can see here is that it's actually pretty close to a high to for the year or so, for about a year. So the high right now was at about 75. Right now it's at 73. But previously, the last time we got this high was actually March of 2022. And if we go and we take a look at the all-time, then the last time we were actually at this level was during the March 2022. And then after that, it was October of 2021. So that right there is top of the bull market at about 79 or about 81 in that area here. So right now, what that's showing me is that it is a time of extreme of greed, and maybe even extreme greed. It's very close, and right now I'm just content to stand pat and just wait for things to play out and wait for that pullback that's going to be coming. If we take a look at the Bitcoin supply and profit, and we go over here to Crypto Quant, we can see that the Bitcoin supply and profit has kind of hit a remarkable level here. So the Bitcoin supply and profit has reached a point that we have not seen since the March of 2022 levels here. So we have almost close to a record amount of Bitcoin supply in profit right now as the price has increased. And I expect that if the price increases, then the amount of supply and profit will also increase. And there's also a very good chance that sellers will start to step in and they will start to sell and lock in those profits instead of holding them for the long term. But I know hodlers are probably going to wind up still holding them. Traders probably going to sell and take their profits because right now profits are at a record level for the past almost a year or so. Last time it was at this high was about March of 2022. I also want to go ahead and take a look at the Bitcoin, the NVT Golden Cross as well. So the NVT Golden Cross is an indicator that I use to try to find local tops and local bottoms. Right now, we had a local top indicator here at about December 4th or so. So if you used this NVT Golden Cross to try to find the local top happened a couple of days after that, and then the price dropped significantly after that, going all the way to 16,400. And now what we see is that when it comes up into this red zone, it tends to signal the start of a topping pattern playing out. And right now, it is getting very close to just the start of this red band here. So that's something I'm going to be monitoring as well. And if it pushes up steeply into this red area, that's kind of where I would expect the top of the local top of Bitcoin to be. So there has been a record amount of selling. There's been a record amount of buying, pushing the price higher, and as a result, we'll see a topping formation play out sooner than later. Bitcoin has also experienced a pretty large increase over time in Google Trends. I've taken a look at the search indicators here, and right now it's at a level that we haven't seen since November. And the reason why people were looking up Bitcoin in November was not a good reason, because that was the collapse of the FTX exchange. So we're starting to see it pick back up again. This tends to correlate more heavily with the price. So as the price goes up, you tend to see more people Googling Bitcoin and trying to figure out where to buy Bitcoin. But this is a really good start for I would say a recovery for Bitcoin. All right. So next, we're going to go ahead and cover some chart TA for Ethereum as well. So Ethereum has not broken out. Okay. Bitcoin has moved higher and Ethereum has not. Ethereum is still trying to push above this 1650 level. It tried earlier today and it failed. It came all the way back down and it tried to rally off of that Tesla news and just could not go any higher. So Ethereum is still stuck at that very strong resistance point here at 1650. So it's entirely possible that it does break out, but the only way it breaks out, in my opinion, is if Bitcoin also breaks out heavily and pushes through that resistance band. BNB, or Binance Coin, also is not breaking out either. It attempted a breakout back on Tuesday. However, it was forcibly, the sellers showed up and pushed it all the way back down again. So that resistance level here is about 317 or so. That's an area to watch out for some pretty extreme resistance. And just like with Ethereum, I do believe that BNB is also going to wind up having to dip when Bitcoin finally does make that dip. And also, I'm going to go ahead and talk real quick here about the Bitcoin dominance. So Bitcoin dominance has pushed above that resistance point that I talked about earlier at about 44.5. And since we're actually above this 44.5 level, this is kind of the area in which Bitcoin tends to peak. It tends to have these huge kind of long peaks, like these jagged peaks that come in. So traditionally, in the last almost year or so, it's barely spent any time whatsoever above this 44% level, because as it gets higher and higher and higher, investors and traders tend to trade or sell their Bitcoin for other altcoins or stable coins, and the Bitcoin dominance level goes down further from that point. All right, so that's all I've got for you guys today. If you like this content, let me know. Like, subscribe, and go ahead and leave a comment as well. And let me know what you guys are thinking about this. Do you guys think that the fear and greed levels are appropriate? Do you think that we're in a greedy environment right now? Are you expecting that we're going to wind up seeing a pullback, or is this the start of the next bull market? I'm definitely very curious to hear your thoughts on the matter. This is Cody the Coin Raptor, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.